Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Tuesday, August the 22nd. We are here. Welcome back to my channel. This channel is called Bookeemonsters. My name is PK, and this morning live shows we go through the new releases each week. And yesterday we looked at the mysteries. Today we're going to be looking at the romances and whatever else we have time for. Good morning, Mary and everyone. Happy Tuesday. Crushed peaches for breakfast this morning along with a steaming hot cup of joe. Oh, that sounds so nice. So nice. All right. I hope you had a good night. I think I slept mostly well. I'm usually up a couple times, but it was a good night. Finished my book. I gave it 4 stars. Love is in the air. All right, let's hop in. Time goes by fast. All right, so let's go down to romance. Looks like we have 4 on Book Riot. First one is Curves for Days by Laura Moore. Olivia Dade meets Lucy Score in this debut sexy southern romance with a charming plus-size heroine and a gruff, grumpy hero. Rose has got curves for days, and to Angus, the big, burly, bearded contractor working on her new house, she's just plumb perfect. Now, how can he convince her of that? That sounds cute. It also sounds really rather like a short description. Let's jump into have a hair. Amazon to see if we get a better description here. It is better. All right. Rose Barnes has got curves for days, and to Angus Drummond, the big bearded contractor working on her new house, she's the perfect thorn in his side. Little does she know Angus is perturbed on a daily basis by his attraction to this cheery, smartass woman with her sunshiny enthusiasm, her kindness, and her beautiful body. Angus feels he has a debt to pay to the world and doesn't deserve love until he pays it. Best to keep his mind on his work and his hands to himself. But the more Rose sees of Angus's gruff, honorable thoughtfulness and the more rusty laughter she surprises from him, the more she wants him too. As their unlikely friendship becomes love, antagonism turns to partnership, and Rose's house becomes a home. But Rose is keeping a secret that could blow up everything with Angus, and sure enough, it comes to light at the worst possible time. That does sound cute. A grumpy sunshine, if you are into tropes. While I'm here, let's get rid of that banner. In Charm's Way by Lana Harper. Purple cover. I'm going to add all kinds of signals here. It is something witchy. 7 months after having been hit by an accidental power surge that nearly obliterated her memory, Delilah Harlow is still picking up the pieces. Her once diamond-sharp mind has become shaky and unreliable, and bristly, self-sufficient Delilah is forced to rely on friends, family, and her raven familiar for help. In an effort to reclaim her wits and former independence, she casts a forbidden blood spell meant to harness power with healing capacities. While the spell does restore clarity, it also unexpectedly turns Delilah into an irresistible beacon for the kind of malevolent supernatural creatures that have never ventured into Thistle Grove before. One night, just as things are about to go terribly sideways with a rogue succubus, a mysterious stranger appears in the nick of time to save Delilah's soul. Gorgeous, sultry, and as dangerous as the knives she carries, Katrina Quinn is a hunter of monsters and a half-human, half-creature herself, the kind of sly and morally gray fae Delilah would normally find horrifying. Though Delilah balks at the idea of a partnership, she has no choice but to roll the dice on their collaboration. As the two delve deeper into the power that underlies Thistle Grove, they uncover not only the town's hidden history, but also a risky attraction that could upend Delilah's entire life. Sarah McLean's Knockout. This one had gotten on my radar a few months ago. It is a part of a series, but you don't, it's like in the romance series, you don't have to read them in order necessarily. Sometimes it helps kind of knowing the previous characters, but they're not the focus and you don't necessarily have to read them in order. With her head full of wild curls and wilder ideas and an unabashed love of experiments and explosives, society has labeled Lady Imogen Lovelace peculiar and doesn't know she's one of the Hell's Bells, a group of vigilantes operating outside the notice of most of London. Thomas Peck is not most of London. The brilliant detective fought his way off the streets and into a promising career through sheer force of will and a keen ability to see things others miss, like the fact that Imogen isn't peculiar, she's pandemonium. If you ask him, she requires a keeper. When her powerful family discovers her late night activities, they couldn't agree more, and they know just the man for the task. Thomas wants nothing to do with guarding Imogen. He's a grown man with a proper job and no time for the lady's incendiary chaos, no matter how lushly it is packaged. But some assignments are too explosive to pass up, and the gruff detective is soon caught up in Imogen's world, full of bold smiles and burning secrets, and a fiery passion that threatens to consume them both. The cover had gotten me a few months ago, and it does sound something a little bit more up my alley. Yeah, me too. And the last one on Book Riot is going to be the trendy LGBTQ. And again, I was raised not to use the Q word, so I'm not. Verona, Italy. Romeo dreams of a quiet life, but as the heir to the Montague family, he is expected to give up his womanly artistic pursuits and uphold the family honor, particularly in their blood feud with the Capulets. Worse still, he's expected to marry a girl approved by his parents, but the more Romeo is forced to mingle, the harder it is to keep his secret. He's attracted to other boys. One night he meets Valentine, the kindest, most beautiful boy he's ever encountered, and is shocked to discover that Valentine is just as enamored with Romeo as Romeo's with him. So begins a tender romance that the boys must hide from their families, each of them longing for a world where they could be together without fear. As the conflict between the Montagues and the Capulets escalates out of control, Romeo and Valentine find themselves in danger of losing each other forever, if not by society's scorn and the edge of the blade. I'm going to step on my soapbox. I am not against LGBTQ and so forth. What makes me angry about this book is that it messes with the classic story, and there's no reason to. You could tell this story without stealing from Shakespeare. The audience that this is targeted for couldn't care less about Romeo and Juliet. And it's not just this story, it's all the other stories that do this retelling or remixing, and there's just no call for it. Tell that story. Tell your story, author, but don't steal. Stepping off my soapbox. All right. Let us go. We go back to Cozy Mysteries. Let's check out these. That was it for the romances. Let's keep our romance stuff going here. Now, this is the fresh fiction page. It mixes the dates a little bit here and new releases and the paperback releases from books that came out last year. So you kind of have to be careful here. These are mostly the 15th. Oops. An Earl to Remember by Stacy Reed. Looks like it came out. I'll jump to that tab in just a minute. I just want to make sure we are okay with dates and stuff. All right, looks like we are. Let's jump here. An Earl to Remember by Stacy Reed, second in a series. Lady Georgiana Eleanor Hayford must be naught but a gentleman's daughter, but even she's heard the rumors about the Earl of Stannis's exceptional charm and good looks. Surely she can cater his luxury yacht party without getting swept away. But a terrible misunderstanding leaves Georgiana fired, furious, and a little recompense, which is precisely when her opportunity for vengeance washes ashore. Daniel Rutherford, the Earl of Stannis, has absolutely no memory of who he is. They tell him he must have fallen overboard, and the only person he seems to recognize is the lovely Georgiana, who strikes a chord of familiarity and the faintest memory of heating his blood, but only now this inelegant, poorly dressed woman claims to be his wife. But the truth is, Georgiana's finally getting her revenge. The dashing Earl will work off the money he owes her, and no one will be the wiser. Except the longer he stays with her and her younger sisters, the more it feels like he belongs there, and that perhaps he'd find a forever place in Georgiana's heart, at least until his memory returns. ... The cover is gorgeous. The language is intriguing because it's a step more proper, and it looks historical, but the situation feels less historical. So I don't know. You have to check that out. Exactly. This one says it's a science fiction romance fantasy anchored to the Shark Man. Okay. That wins. Great title today. And the pun. Ah. Let's double check to see when this one was released before I. Well, we'll take a look. We're here. We're here to look. Anyone But the Boss. Second in a series by Sarah L. Hudson. Thomas More, heir to the glamorous New York department store Moore's, has everything but a sense of humor. Probably why he's so often compared to his philandering crook of a father. And probably he's been exposed to way too many puns. Alice Truman, recently promoted from the sales floor, is determined to prove her worth, even if that means smiling in the face of the arrogant and too sexy for his own good Thomas More, who seems to think her unfit for her new position. Avoidance works wonders until Alice's best friend plans an Elvis-themed destination wedding with Thomas's brother, a concept that modern Mr. Darcy loathes. Throw in a hairless cat, a calamitous bachelorette party, and some questionable cocktails, and things become complicated. And when things get complicated, Anyone But the Boss would be better. That one's a closing some tabs because it's getting confusing. Helen Hart, Bloom. That is erotica. We'll keep it clean. Burning Justice. The Canine Special Ops series by T.O. Fallon. Some cases are hot enough to kill. After narrowly surviving a childhood fire that killed two of his friends, ATF Special Agent Brett Tanner knows what it's like to get too close to the flame. The trauma only spurs him and his canine partner to track down the arsonist targeting a Colorado town. This latest warehouse blaze looks suspicious as hell, and there's a body. Now it's murder. Fiercely independent insurance investigator Gemma Scott has been burned enough times to know she doesn't need anyone, especially a handsome agent with an agenda. Teaming up with the hardened and determined ATF agent means not just trusting her instincts, it also means trusting him. Now they're racing against an arsonist with a lethal agenda, one who's willing to burn and kill to hide the evidence. But the killer is only part of a larger mystery, and the searing attraction between Gemma and Brett adds fuel to an already dangerously lethal fire, one that will smoke out a killer along with Brett's darkest secrets. They just couldn't resist all those puns. Although I like the setup, I have to admit. That's fantasy. We looked at Codename Charming. Cold Case Revenge is Harlequin, which we can save for another day. That one is a regular fantasy. That one's Cursed at Dawn. Heather Graham. I think that's a release from a hardcover. Here we go. Duke Seeks Bride. Third in a series. They always wear such gorgeous dresses, and why is he not wearing a shirt out in the middle of a meadow? We don't ask. Miss Evelyn Graves has never had a holiday. She is much too busy as the personal secretary to the Countess of Waverley, but the Duke of Ballimore's castle in Connemara, Ireland, has invited the Countess to visit, and as the Countess cannot travel, she has insisted Evelyn go in her stead. Except when Evie arrives, everyone mistakes her for the Countess, and it's clear the family who owns crumbling Ballymore were hoping to match the widowed Countess with Alexander Pierpont, Duke of Renwick. Though Alex knows the truth of Evie's identity, he has an unusual request. He'll happily show her hospitality if she'll agree to let others think she's the Countess during her visit. There's one problem. As time runs out on their arrangement and Alex increasingly fears he must in fact marry an heiress to save his family's fortunes, he finds that his heart now belongs to Miss Evie Graves, and he can't bring himself to let her go. Take those shirts off. Yes. Oh, they're releasing Emma. I love that one. Encased in Steel, a biker romance. That is a popular subgenre in romance. I personally am not attracted to that, but there was even that FX channel TV series about bikers. I can't remember it right now. This is by Ren McCabe and Michael Prince. Titan Steel Malone's. Okay, somebody didn't proofread this. Titan Steel Malone knew the mission was no win, but like a good soldier, he followed orders. Orders that took more than his ability to sleep through the night without waking up screaming from the memories. The family he'd been adopted into now had one less son and another in a wheelchair, leaving Steele shamed and broken. Delaney Dell O'Reilly had been on evac duty, never imagining she'd be tasked to bring back her husband's body. The loss triggered her need to run with their children in tow. When she can no longer, she reaches out to her in-laws, the ones grieving the loss of not only the son who died, but the one ghosting them from shame. Steele had loved Dell from the first time he met her, only to lose his chance when his brother made his move first. Their family now torn apart, with a legacy left by the one who passed now is bringing them back together. Can they put aside the guilt of losing the man that brought them together to heal in each other's arms? Or will life once again send them into a no-win mission, breaking the bond they were welding together with two pieces of broken steel? Welding, I get it. Not my cuppa, and that needed some proofreading. I'm sorry, I'm part of the grammar police. I'm mostly in the adverb division, but even that kind of stuff gets me. Romance Fantasy, Fated by C. Tyler. Romance, action, adventure. Only on Kindle. Kind of has a Wolverine vibe there, doesn't he? Mary, I think you like this cover as well. Book 3 in the Infernal series. No matter how hard you try, you can't run away from your fate. Lynn has done all she can to try to escape the life she was raised in, the life of drugs, booze, and violence against anyone who dared stand in her way. But in doing so, she turned her back on the only two men who would have done anything for her. First, forced to return home, she has to contend with not only her own feelings, but also the things that led her to uprooting her life in the first place. John and Jay, two lifelong members of the Infernal's Motorcycle Club, or MC, are thrown for a loop when she shows up again. John is willing to forgive and forget to enjoy the time he has with her while she's in town, but Jay refuses to submit so easily. The outside world continues to poke and prod at the trio, pushing them closer together until a horrific incident convinces Len that she can't leave. She is where she belongs, and with whom. Once again, another biker. And I'm picking up Menage a Trois. I'm an old-fashioned romance kind of girl. We're kind of running out of time, so I'm going to just kind of romance military, Harlequin, romance fantasy paranormal, or Harlequin. Ooh, a Western. It goes. Well, I think of the ones that we looked at on Book Riot. I'm intrigued by Curse for Days, and I had mentioned that this knockout had got my attention before. So I'm kind of intrigued by that. And An Earl to Remember. That one's got so many mixed signals. I'm gonna have to check out that a little bit more. Anyway, oh, it has. I mean, I grew up, my 8th grade English teacher made us do the diagramming of sentences, and I liked it a lot. I knew you'd like that cover. Yeah, yeah, I think me too. We've got reading sprints tonight at 6:05 p.m., 8:05 Eastern. We'll be going for 2.5 hours. And oops, wrong one. I finished my book last night and I haven't quite picked what I'm going to read next. So hopefully by tonight I'll have something to get going on. Sarah on Bookish Knitter is doing her monthly 1,000 pages read challenge. And I always like to participate in that. And I'm off to a slow start. Usually on the Sunday, it goes from like Sunday till Saturday or Sunday to Sunday if you want to go that way. And usually on that first Sunday, I've read a lot of pages, and I didn't on Sunday, so I've got some making up to do there. But if you want to check it out, she's Bookish Knitter, and hopefully tonight I'll let you know what I'm reading. I hate being in between, and I have so much to read. I just don't know what I'm in the mood for. Otherwise, have a very good Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. If you like what you're seeing, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification, because you never know when I'm going to do spontaneous sprints. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Thank you, everybody, and God bless.